I'd like to welcome in now to the 24/7 Sports Social Distance Series, former NFL wide receiver, former Ohio State wide receiver, current Ohio State wide receiver coach, and the reigning 24/7 Sports Recruiter of the Year, Brian Hartline. Coach, thanks for joining us. How's things going in Columbus?
Things are good, man. I think it's getting pretty hot out here, and I'm still rocking my quarantine beard. So
I'm with you.
That's solid. I'm slowly working back to getting back in the building a little bit, and some discretionary stuff showing up here soon. I have to get back to putting product in my hair. So until then, though, I'm going to continue wearing hats until I have to, get back to actually putting hairspray or whatever into my hair. So all's good though.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've survived about 3 months without a haircut now. We'll see how long it lasts.
I'm telling you.
So you're kind of back. You are sort of an Ohioan. This is home for you. Not only you go there, but you went to high school in the state of Ohio. Can you first take me back to your recruitment, where things began, how you ended up at Ohio State in the first place?
Yeah, it was I definitely am an Ohioan, and talked about currently, my wife's from Columbus, so Columbus is home. Really hard to ever leave this city at this point. I got all my family. My family's still in Canton, but as far as me going to Ohio State, it was pretty simple. I think back, in 2005, not that things were more simple, but I guess you could probably say they were before, the huddles were coming out there, and then the video was going out there. It was you went to camps and you got your offers, and that's kind of how you went about your business. And I'll never forget going through that process as a high school athlete. I really wasn't a big college fan growing up. I was a huge Cowboys fan growing up, all NFL. Did not really know a ton about college football. And what I did know was if I were to earn an Ohio State offer, I knew that if I went to Ohio State, I got a degree at Ohio State, I could probably get any job I wanted. And that's really where the extent of my thought process. And I knew football aside, that was a phenomenal opportunity. So that was kind of the extent of it. Lo and behold, went to Ohio State camp, chose to do at that point a weekly long camp, which we rarely even have anymore. And I'll never forget them kind of telling me, hey, you only need to come to that senior elite camp that Saturday or Sunday. And I was like, well, listen, you haven't offered me, so I'm going to come for a week. I'm going to make sure that you don't want me, and then we'll go about my business. I'll finish with the senior camp, all good. So I went the whole week. By the end of the week, I had my offer, and I kind of knew where I wanted to go at that point. Had most of the Big Ten and things like that, but I wasn't waiting for, Florida. That I think was coming in and things like that. So I got the process done. Being May before your senior year, at that time, that was early back then to be committing to a school. Now it's kind of normal business. So that was kind of my extent of my recruitment. The only thing I think I would add in there is that I think there was a time where a former Glen Okian, Dustin Fox, who played at Ohio State as a corner, he was there, and we were buddies. He left Glen Oak as I was coming in, so we dismissed each other. And I never forget lining up on him and going one-on-ones with him going into my senior year. And I wouldn't say he dominated me by any means, and I'll leave it at that. I think it was a pretty good battle. And I think after that, they were like, okay, kid might have something, and that was a big part of it. So camps played a huge part of my recruitment, and I try to still keep that that factor with the recruits this day and age too. So that's about it. Nothing too flashy.
So that was a Jim Tressel era, right?
It was, yes, it was.
So what was kind of your memory of playing for Jim Tressel? I mean, you guys had some really good teams. You played for a national championship one year. What really stands out kind of about the way he managed that program?
So there's one major factor that stands out to me, and I think that. And it's kind of bizarre, but I think that a lot of people that know Coach Tressel and how he operates, and I think it kind of sums up who he is. But so he's always been known for always remembering everyone's name. And I'll never forget my run-in with this. And I know, although it's maybe a silly story, it kind of sums up who he is that I'll never forget I had a new girlfriend at the time in college. And she came to, I think, a spring game or something like that. And she ended up bringing her dad with her. And I introduced him, hey, Coach Trez, can you say hello? girlfriend and her dad, and out of nowhere he looked at him and pulled out his name. Goes, yeah, you know, I don't even remember his name. Yeah, pointed out. And I kind of looked at him, and he's like, and the guy was like caught off guard. It was like, how do you know my name? He goes, oh yeah. You know, remember back in 2001 we met at that Maslin, you know, convention. And he was like, yeah, but how? And so he remembered the young man, the gentleman's name, and the gentleman wasn't any, like, he was just a dad and just was there. So, you know, and I was caught off. So I remember asking Coach Tressel later. I asked him, say, Coach, I got to ask you, man, like, how did you remember my girlfriend's dad's name? Like, how'd that even happen? And he goes, Hart, the moment you start putting other people's importance before yours, you'll remember their name too. And I was like, okay. Wow. And that, to this day, I just, you can't fully fathom that passion for other people and how he cares. And, you know, that to his secret. So how do you remember everyone's name, Coach Tress? I think they're more important than me. So that's really, really hard to fathom. And, but anyone that knows him knows he's, you know, the special trait he has. And I think it all stems from, you know, that main thought. So that's my Jim Tressel. But that being said, so playing for the guy like that, it was pretty special.
That's remarkable. No, you can't fake that. That's a really cool story. You know, you go ahead and have a great career at Ohio State. Redshirt junior year, I guess you declare for the NFL. Fourth round draft pick, drafted by the Dolphins. What was the welcome to the NFL moment from, you know, when you arrived? I mean, I feel like everyone's kind of got it, or maybe the player you played against, or the moment that you kind of, you know, realized this was a big step forward. Did anything come to mind for you?
There was a couple. You know, I would say, you know, a funny one. It wasn't like I thought it was funny. I don't think it was like a welcome to the NFL kind of situation. I don't think I ever, you know, there was one time I was going against I think a corner at Tampa as a preseason game as a rookie, and I didn't take that same approach. Anyways, long story short, I was at the line of scrimmage and I got a two-hand champ right in my chest, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, I got a little lazy there, and that might have been like my one probably early embarrassing moment that I was like just kind of rechecked myself, because I also had that as a freshman going against Ashton Ubodi in our own time. You know, when we were kind of discretionary period, I believe it was just the receivers, the DBs were out there working. And I did like some kind of hop release off the line of scrimmage, and this guy shot me right in the chest. I remember Santonio Holmes looking at me and goes, yeah, Hart, that ain't going to work anymore. And I was like, you know, welcome to Ohio State. So that kind of brought me back then my rookie year in the NFL. That was kind of funny. And I also remember one time, I don't know, I'm not going to say the player's name, but I remember looking at another player's paycheck as a rookie in my rookie deal, and I knew at that time I couldn't afford his taxes. That was one of those, wow, you know what I mean? And I was still on a rookie deal, and I go to his house. I remember seeing his house, and I'm like, I live in a shoebox, you know, compared to this. And so all of those are really cool memories and all good stuff. But those two moments kind of stick out in my head. There's levels to this stuff, and you got to realize which level you're currently in, and then maybe where you want to go. So it's been good.
Hey, but you got to a pretty high level in the NFL, and you, in fact, you're still in the record books down there in Miami. You got the single game receiving record of all time against Arizona Cardinals for Miami. Look, I'm just kind of curious what your memories were from that game. I mean, did you just have a really good breakfast that day? You know, how are you able to be so successful that game, and what kind of stands out about, you know, how you were able to make that kind of mark?
You know, I think it's a good question. I think that nothing changed. You know, you try to rehash that back. I think it became it kind of not really summed up in my career, but I just felt like I prided myself on maximizing opportunities. I got an opportunity, and it was just one of those games where the ball kept coming my way, and every time the ball came my way, I made the play. And not that it was like I finally did it. I felt like I was always that way. But just like in sports, I think a lot of times you kind of carry labels, and people want to label you as only being able to do this or that. And so I try to pride myself on breaking those labels. So to this day, I still carry that with my players and the players I get an opportunity to coach. So I would say that. I guess there's opportunities that come my way. I know Patrick Peterson was on one side, and, you know, then whoever in there, he traveled, so he was going to follow me all game. They didn't do that off the beginning, but that sooner or later that happened. So it was a great game, a lot of cool memories. But I guess I would just nail it down to, as the opportunities were come, I was making sure I was capitalizing on my opportunities.
So I wondered about that because I didn't go back and like watch the tape, but
Yep.
I did look at the Arizona Cardinals roster and I did see,
Yep.
All right, there's Patrick Peterson. So
Yep.
you got some of your work done on Patrick Peterson. It wasn't as if it was, you were just playing some scrubs.
No, I mean, I think that, Patrick Peterson, the best, you could arguably be one of those in that list of the best that ever do it. You know what I mean? And his skill, his toolbox is ridiculous from a size standpoint, speed standpoint, so, but yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I guess it was just kind of my day and it wasn't all versus, Patrick. It was, it was probably split half and half. But I remember that game. We were going to that game. Nobody was giving us a chance. That was motivating. They were 6-0. We were in Arizona. Their pass defense, I think at the time, was number one in the league. And so, there was a lot of it just felt like a lot that was on the line there and very motivated. But, heck of a game, a lot of fun. And just the fact that I played so often in that Fiesta Bowl and being in that stadium, I was very familiar with that stadium. I think it all served well.
Ryan Tannehill was your quarterback, right?
Yeah, it was. I believe it was his rookie year. Was
that kind of cool to see Ryan Tannehill have the sort of resurgence in his career this year? See him kind of make that playoff run?
Absolutely. And I think, again, it just comes down to a guy that capitalized on opportunity. He went into a place in Tennessee and wasn't making a fuss about it, kind of, quote unquote, served his role, but he knew that, hey, I'm not satisfied. So, probably being in that spot and being ready. And when his number got called, he got an opportunity. He maximized it, because I'm sure if he wouldn't have, the position, the inverse would have happened. We probably went back to the previous quarterback, and who knows? So it's all about the opportunities. He maximized it, and it's not shocking at all. I mean, Ryan and his wife Lauren are phenomenal people, great family, and it's gonna be pretty hard. It comes down to hard work. It's gonna be really hard to outwork Ryan. So really great to see, and hopefully it's just a new start. Excited just for the follow up, this year.
So here's my last question about your Miami years.
Okay.
That was, if I'm not mistaken, you're down there in like the heart of the big three with the Heat. Like that's when LeBron and Bosh and D Wade were getting that thing rolling.
Yep.
That had to have been a unique experience, being a professional athlete in a city that was just popping at that point with energy and excitement around another professional franchise. Like, I'm just curious if you got swept up in that at all, if you could feel that and what that was like being around there at that time.
Yeah, it was great. I would have hoped that we have helped our end of the bargain a little more. We're a lot of 500 seasons, tilling at 6-9 or 8-8 or 9-7 and not getting over that hump enough. So that was disheartening, but yeah, it was great. I mean, to have LeBron and the big three down there was pretty awesome. Definitely made my share of games. So that was definitely buzzing. The new Marlins Stadium, I believe, was just built too from a baseball standpoint. So there was a lot going on. And it's not just sports that's going on down there. So I would say it was a great, great chapter. And, I think I caught myself chasing LeBron to Miami and then chasing him back to Cleveland. So I guess I was a follower in that sense. But it was pretty awesome time. And it still is. Great place, great people. It's definitely be a cool chapter if I decide to write a book someday.
I bet. So the next chapter of the book then, because you go and you have a great NFL career, make some money. You could ride off and do whatever you want. And you decide to get into coaching, which is, look, there's a lot of easier careers you can engage in if you want to just, enjoy your time. That's a grind that you're in. And so I'm just curious, from initially, what inspired you to just want to dive back in that quickly and get into college coaching?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think, first of all, when I entered, I never planned on it. When I was playing, I had a lot of people, smart people that I respected, telling me I'd be a great coach and you're going to be a coach. And I was like, no, I'm not. No way. And I know the time you guys put in. I thought I did put it that way. I thought, and I always thought when I left the sport, I was leaving the sport and I was going to do other things. Really what it came down to was my brother was getting coaching. Coach Meyer gave him an opportunity here at Ohio State to be an assistant. So he was I want to say a quality control GA in that capacity. And there was a time where it was okay for former athletes to come back and practice for bowl practice at their alma mater. And I know other schools did that too. It was kind of a fad until the NCAA kind of clipped that. So I was one of those guys. It was my first year not playing. My brother was in town. He was kind of barking at me. We had a couple other guys that would go to practice. And he's like, they're coming too. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. All right. So I grabbed, my old helmet and grabbed some shoulder pads that were down in the basement, literally. And I was like, let's do this. So I went there and ran scout team for one of the bowl preps. And I'll never forget that the guys I was working with when they were freshmen, it was Austin Mack and Ben Victor and whatever. And I didn't know the guys at the time, but I went out there and had fun and just my normal self, and it was a blast. And, I was probably coaching the guys up, and that's just how I always operated. I felt like when I played, whether it be, Jarvis Landry and Mike Wallace and, me and B. Marshall hitting the back and forth, we were coaching ourselves a ton. And I was always pretty vocal. So I was probably doing the same with them. Anyways, we get through that, and Coach Meyer approached me and, hey, I really like you interested in coaching for us, this coming year or whatever. And I was like, yeah, probably not. I really, really appreciate it. And, but, I don't know. We'll see. So they wanted to play the game. They came back, and it came about February, and he reached back out. He goes, no, I was serious when I talked to you about that. And I was like, talked to my family. Again, all thought we knew what this road was and what it entailed. And he's like, no, did one of those, hey, just come and go if you will, just get your feet in the building and see if you like it and all these kind of things. And I kind of told him, I said, Coach, with all due respect, if I go there, putting myself in their shoes, no way in heck I'm going to listen to a guy that's coming and going in the building, like just jumps in, says some things, doesn't show up. So listen, Coach, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So came in. And then, within a week or two, I was like, Coach, I don't know. If you have a spot for me, I'll take it. Because it was supposed to just be for the spring is what I kind of agreed on.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, if you have a spot for me, I'll take it. And after 2 weeks working with, those great young men and being in that room, that was it. So I was in for the year. Then obviously, as the year went on, it was like, wow, this is maybe something I really could do. And then now at this point, I think that, as a young athlete, you think your calling is playing ball, and you think that's who you were, because it's been who you were for your entire life. So I never thought in a million years that I'd want to get into coaching. Well, when I did, I just kind of realized that I played, long enough to, test my theories and learn and relate and just set myself up to be a coach. Because with by far, Barton, it is absolutely my passion for these young men, and and then obviously we can dive into why that passion formed as I was playing. But, that's how I got in. And, now it's going to be awesome to see kind of where this path goes.
Hooked you. Yeah.
Yeah. Hooked, man. Hooked.
So you in a short period, you've coached with Urban Meyer, you've coached with Ryan Day, two guys that have, Urban Meyer's reputation obviously speaks for itself, and Ryan Day in short order has sort of become one of the most highly respected guys out there as well. But it seems like they're different stylistically as head coaches. What has been your experience in terms of sort of the difference between coaching alongside those two guys?
There's always going to be differences, but and some similarities. The attention to detail, the focus on culture. That's things that they have in common. Culture may be a little different, have their own spin on it, but the emphasis kind of remains, definitely remains the same. To me, catalyst, that's the catalyst for it all, and so that's been phenomenal, but just talking about Coach Day, he is a family man first, and not that others aren't, but you just feel it. And, he coaches that way. He disciplines that way. He, holds his staff accountable that way. And so, I guess I just can't say enough about both the men, but, working with Coach Day has been phenomenal. His ability to have offensive production and game plan and see things has just been awesome to learn from. but then also to see how he conducts himself and carries himself, and his ability to remain calm kind of at all times and absorb information and then give out a really good response has been phenomenal. So a lot to learn from as being a young coach, but I absolutely have had some great first impressions on both guys, and I've learned a lot. And I guess the accessibility to Coach Meyer has just been, profound. I don't even know how often you have a chance to see a guy around the building or reach out and give him a phone call and he's answering the phone. So two great men for sure.
You set the bar pretty high in first full cycle as a coach. You got brought in top receiving group in the country in this 2020 cycle. What can you kind of speak to how you were able to sort of pull that group together? They came from all over the country, basically every corner of the country, and all really elite players. What went into being able to land a class like that in 2020?
I think, first and foremost, I guess, to be able to land a class or, you have to have the opportunity and the space to do so. We had a transition happening in our room. There were some spots that we wanted to get filled. And I think that at the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, to me, I didn't view it that way, I guess. I just kind of, went about trying to find, I thought the most ideal 4 guys that would want me to coach them and teach them how to be great young men and how to treat people and what it looks like. I mean, to think that it's all football, you're mistaken. It's much more than football. To be successful in football, it's much more than football. I don't know too many really successful football players that are kind of crappy people. So to me, it all goes hand in hand. If you want to be a great player, you need to learn how to treat people the right way. And I think so having all those kind of conversations, I think, are really important. And we try to have those in our room all the time. Obviously, we're trying to find, some of the best receivers potentially in the country. But at the end of the day, what's between the ears, I feel like, is what matters the most. So I'm sure a lot of these guys can run fast. They do some things you can't coach. I mean, they're great players. And I think they've developed great chemistry between themselves. So to pinpoint one thing and any kind of approach we had as a program, I don't know if that's necessarily fair. I just try to let them get to know me. I wanted to get to know them. And I think you kind of go on down that road and you kind of see how it all fits in, and obviously there's twists and turns throughout the whole process, and everyone's process is different. But the biggest thing for me is kind of to over communicate and really just understand that I just love coaching ball, and I love trying to, show maybe hopefully young men maybe how to grow and how to off the field and on the field. And that's kind of it. We really believe in a family environment, and so they really get to know my kids and my wife, and that's kind of it, I guess. I can't really pinpoint it. Probably more of a question for them, I guess,
Right.
Than it is for me. So, but great young men, so excited for them, and really excited for the room at Ohio State to have such good people coming into the room.
All right, so here's my last question for you before I let you go. You technically have one more year of eligibility, I think, right? So you got Justin Fields at quarterback. You go out there, lace up the cleats. What do you got in you left? Do you think you can get out there
I'm not
going first downs?
I'm not going to make the top 6. What do you mean? These guys in the room are ballers, man. So I'm going to keep my movements to a 5-yard space, and I'm going to make sure they can see the movements and how we want to decel and re-excel, and that's about it. But I think my eligibility was exhausted when I was somewhat forced into running routes for Dwayne Haskins. Was it? Or was it JT? JT, because we didn't have any senior receivers. So I was out there running routes dying and embarrassing myself with all the pro scouts and GMs that they knew me before. So I go ahead and exhaust my eligibility then. But
let's hope that there's no quarantines of the receiver room and y'all run out of bodies. You need to tap you on the shoulder and get you in.
No kidding. No way. I'm not making the top 6, man. These guys are awesome. So, I'm just going to keep suggesting versus actually running routes. So.
Great. Well, hey, listen, thanks a lot. This has been fun. Appreciate you taking some time. Good luck getting this thing going and getting back on the field. Hopefully we'll see you guys padded up pretty soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Go Bucks.